All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Fishing from the Barn. This is going to be a no-frills video. Pretty much winging it like we always do on the phone because I still haven't got my stuff put together. We're not doing no baits, no nothing. This was we'll say a rough weekend. Two tournaments, smaller ones, but two tournaments. One was up here on the Upper Bay, launching out of Anchor Marina with the AFT, the American Bass Anglers AFT series. And then Sunday we went down. I wasn't going to go at first, but then I decided, well, what the heck. I'm a glutton for punishment, and we'll do it again. So we went all the way down to Smallwood, Smallwood State Park down the Potomac River, and fished that one. So we're not going to waste a lot of time here. Not going to go crazy on the video, crazy long, I don't think. Recap a little bit on the two events and roll into this episode of what I'm going to call learning the tournament trail. Or I wouldn't say trail for that matter, but tournaments in general, getting into it this year as we are, and what we're learning through it and the struggles of it, and just learning that these fisheries and the insane pressures put on the fish and guessing at what is going on this season, especially for the month of May. So let's get right into it. So first one this weekend was Saturday. Anchor Marina, AFT, that was the Pennsylvania division. We rolled out of there, went on to, my boater was cool. Now first I'm going to say nothing against any of my other boaters. All my boaters have been cool. The man I had on Saturday, his experience level in a boat shined. When I'm talking shine, I'm talking shined. This man did things with that boat I've never seen people do before. What a captain of his ship. He blew through stuff that I've never seen anybody blow through. Smooth as glass. I mean, he just is like a burlap bag of bobcats. I mean, he had it together. It was incredible. And like I said, my boaters were great, awesome. But I mean, and nothing taken away from them. Everybody has their style. Everybody has their thing. This man he had so many years of experience in the boat. And again, it showed. It really showed. Phenomenal. Phenomenal fisherman. Phenomenal boater. It was just. It was a wow factor. It really was. And, of course, I haven't been on a lot of boats with a lot of different drivers just yet. We're building. But I mean, he shined on that thing. I mean, it was amazing. So, anyhow, launch out of Anchor. First thing, we were first boat. So, being the first boat out there for the first time in my life, it was exhilarating, to say the least. It was nice. We're out there. Everybody else were the first one. We went through the checkout, and it was awesome because there was nothing out there. There was no wakes. The water was just it. There was nobody in front of us. It was just smooth sailing, like you own the water, like it was yours. We just rolled. It was just beautiful. It was just like, I mean, I guess you could say it was like almost like a level of Zen, where it's like, yeah, I know I wasn't driving the boat. He was, but it was like, you're in this tunnel or this, I don't know how to describe it. It was just, it was beautiful. I mean, it was just, I think that was the most, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I think that was the most just awesome experience, for lack of a better term, just out there. I mean, it was nothingness. It was just, the water, you're going to your spot. It was just so open. Your mind was so open, and it really started the day well. Other than bugs, we did hit bugs, and I don't wear a mask. I just have sunglasses on, and that's it. And as the saying goes, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. Well, I now know what a windshield really feels like. All right, so we were booking, and I don't know what these little things were, but they were coming at us. Let me put it that way. Luckily, he had a little shoot in front of him, a little windshield. Me, nothing. Well, wasn't a dual console boat, so whatever was coming was coming. So I'm just sitting there, keep in mind, I'm always keeping it back in my head. Keep your mouth shut. Don't open your mouth up while you're going down the river with no console in front of you. So all well, all went good. Had to wipe the sunglasses off a few times, but I mean, what an awesome experience getting out there at first boat. I hope that happens again. That was cool. But anyhow, we get out there. We head down to the flats, the southern part of flats. Southern Canal, he called it. I don't know the exact location of where that exact spot we were. I have an idea, but still learning that part of the waters. There's certain areas that I know you have landmarks that'll give you an idea. I didn't really have any landmarks that I know of, so we were just down there fishing. And like he got, I want to say, I think he had 4. Yeah, he had 4. He just couldn't snag his 5th. And we went around and tried different things and everything else, and nothing. Me, I got skunked yet again, and we'll get to that later on in the video, but I'm figuring out my problem, I think. But anyhow, he was fishing. We fished the grass for quite a while. We left there. We went up towards Susquehanna, like the flats up that way a little bit. Didn't really get into the flats, so to say, but did the Amtrak bridge. We fished around there, fished a marine on the other side of that, and I was throwing everything. I mean, the worm was hitting for people. Guys were hitting them around me, and I'm like, all right, so I'm fishing the worm. Nothing. So I'm trying swim bait, and I'm like, all right, nothing's, and spinner, whatever, just trying to cover water and see what's out there, see if anything's hitting. Nothing wants to hit a moving bait. They're just not. I don't have an explanation for it just yet. Theories, but no explanation other than like pressure is one of them. I don't know what is going on this year. Like, it's May. I should be able to hit something with a moving bait, and nothing. No chatter, no spinner, no swim bait, nothing. I mean, if it's trailered, if it's non-trailered, bigger baits. And I'm a bigger bait guy, and it's some of my problem, I think. But yeah, I mean, we had a good day. It was frustrating on my side. I mean, of course it is. When you ain't catching nothing, it sucks. We'll put it that way. It just plain sucks. But that's how the day went. He was upset that he didn't get his 5th, and I'm like, I mean, he didn't do bad. I think my boater, he ended up in 2nd place with a bag of 4. Intermediate size, nothing crazy huge, nothing crazy small. He was like right in the middle pack, and I mean, ended up 2nd place, which is great. Good for him. He was really for first. He's got a lot of years in this, and he's like, I mean, he feels that he should have had 5 fish, and rightfully so. When you get to that point in life, it's like, why didn't I get my 5? But hey, it happens. It's hard to swallow sometimes, but it happens. So that's about the most excitement out of Anchor. I just stood there, waited, and that was for him to get back to his boat, whatever, after weighing his fish, this and that. And it's like, I asked him if he needed any help getting stuff on. So the cool factor of that, too, at the end of the thing was we rode over, and he's like, oh, I'll give you, he's got to go back to the lot, pack everything up, whatever, strap the boat down. So he's like, I got to go to the lot if you're parked over there. And I told him, I said, I could walk. I said, it's no big deal. And he's like, no, go for the ride. And I'm like, all right, well, if we load the boat, with 2 people in the boat, I know it affects on the water speed, any weight. And I'm like, all right, well, does that affect loading the boat? Like, that's not something, since I don't have a nice boat with a nice trailer, or ever, I don't know what it takes to do that. And he's like, oh, no, it ain't no big deal, whatever. So I never, I wouldn't say never, now I finally did, got to experience what it's like or how to load the boat. Unloading the boat, not a problem. I mean, backing into the ramps, whatever, we do that stuff all the time. It's not a big deal. But actually being in the boat and actually seeing how it goes up on the trailer, your positioning and everything else, or lack of positioning to where you don't want to go too far out, but if you're off a little bit, man, it just centers itself right up. So it was a really cool experience for me, and having that knowledge now to where it's like, if I ever do get a boat, of how to do these things. It's not rocket science, but it is a know-how. You can mess up, and there's people who do, so, but like I said, backing them down the ramps, pulling them out, this and that, it's like, I've done that time and time again, and usually the boater's the one that's going to operate the boat after I drop him in the water or pick him up out of the water. He's on it doing the thing, so at least I finally got a feel for that, so that was a plus on our side of things. Like I said, I'm not very boat savvy. Never really pushed or looked into getting one until now, doing this kind of stuff. It was always bank fishing for me for the longest time, and and I'm trying to fish off the back of the boat. No, we're going to get into this a little bit soon, so we'll wait on that. Let's move on to the Potomac. All right, so the Potomac, we go out there. I had a new boater. He was a co-angler for a long time, and it was a windy day. Let me tell you, it started off. We weren't supposed to have wind, 3-4 mile an hour. Well, that changed. I guess the rains the night before, the leftover storm, it was just blowing all day long. I want to say we had like gusts of like 20 mile an hour, if I remember correctly. It was a rough day. I mean, especially in the back of the boat. I didn't get a lot of positioning to where I was throwing with the wind, mostly, broadside or into it. So it was touchy. I mean, your bait will slow down when you ain't ready for it, blow up here and there, and I was victim of it. You're throwing sideways with your spinning rod, and it's just carrying line because if you know throwing a spinning rod, it's lightweight baits, more finesse bait, whatever. That line just comes out. That doesn't have that drag like on a bait caster has, and that line was just bowing. And a couple times I ended up chopping my line down just because it would just knot up. I mean, it would just, if the wind was blowing to that point, just bad timing on the cast, it would just loop up, boom, put a knot in it, and I was trying to just blow through it and just be like, all right, I'm just going to send it with the knot. I don't care. And it just drug so hard through the guides. It got under my skin. It just pissed me off to the point where it's like, all right, hacked it off, retie. And the biggest pain in the butt for me, which because I'm picky about how I tie stuff on, is I hate having to redo a drop shot on the boat. Like I try to keep it on its own, unless I get a lot of heavy catches on it. I mean, and then I'll have to redo some stuff. But to redo the whole entire thing, it was just frustrating. I'm just like, I don't want to do this right now. But I'm glad I did because the only fish I caught that day was on the drop shot. But we went around, we went down Quantico, went to Mattawoman Creek for a little while, went down to Quantico for a little bit. Oh, got a catfish and a dink at Quantico. Catfish, I wish I could have weighed in. That was a beefy little sucker. We had some weight on. That would have been awesome if it was a bass, but of course it's not. So chucked him back. Went from Quantico. I'm trying to think where we went from there. To Chickamauga. We hit the creek for a little bit. We were in there for a little bit of time. And I ended up getting one in that creek. I mean, probably like 2.5 pound. I didn't weigh it. I didn't even weigh it in at the end of the day. We'll get to that one. And that was it. I got on the drop shot, luckily. And that was the only one I pulled up. I mean, I threw everywhere. I'm talking everywhere and everything. And it just, nothing was working. I don't know I just don't know. The other guys are doing it and I'm not, again. So, went from there, spent a little time there, and I think we chucked out and we shot up to Belmont Bay where my boater, he needed 2 more. He had a total of 3 at that point. And he needed 2 more, trying to get something decent. And, because he had some smaller ones in there, but still had 3 fish. Belmont, he ended up losing 2 of them, just lost them. I don't think he broke off. I don't remember exactly, but he had two nice ones were coming to the boat, and then that was it. And I know I had good luck in Belmont before. My first event of the season, we lit them up at Belmont. It's a hot spot. If you know anything in Potomac, it's one of the hot spots. But yeah, that was about it. I had my one, and at the end of the day, I think we went back and we were farting around in Mattawoman Creek a little bit more, just to see if he could pick one up, a retread from the day before or whatever. And, retread, for those who don't know, that's your fish that get dumped in Mattawoman Creek. Smallwood State Park, where we launch, is right on Mattawoman Creek. So all your fish go back in, and unless they have a boat, like a transfer boat, that'll take the fish out and release them out into the water. A lot of tournaments don't have that, your smaller tournaments, so they basically get dumped off the edge of the dock, the seawall, whatever you call it. So they're right in Mattawoman Creek. So that's what we call a retread. A lot of times you go out there and you catch one, and a lot of times there's one that went back in from a previous tournament, and you just get lucky, try to fill a bag real quick or get some fish in a boat, and then you can start going around doing your thing and finding other spots. But, give it a shot, see if you can pick up a retread. Like retread in the tire. That's what we call them. So anyway, farted around in there for a little bit. And at the end of the day, it's like I just had that one fish, and he was like between that 2.5. I'm not even sure if he'd make 2.5. Maybe like a 2.3, somewhere in there. And I got to the point where it's like, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste anybody's time over at the scales, even though everybody's like, oh, you should have waited, whatever. And a guy, a boater that I had once before, he ended up catching three small ones, and he did the same thing that I did, and I didn't find that out until today, which is 3 days later. And he just said, I wasn't really worried about it, whatever. He won the day before. He ended up getting a $2,000 check for the tournament the day before, and then he hung out and then fished the AFT just for the next day. And with the boater, you got a little bit more. You got gas, stuff like that. But he was in the area. He just stayed. And it cost you like $85 or something like that to enter the tournament with the big bass prize if you put money in for big bass. And it just didn't pan out for him. He's like, I won the day before. You wouldn't worry about it. So he didn't weigh his either. So he came in last. I came in second to last. But we both got the same point. So we're both last. So kind of stings because that was my boater from the week before. And it's like we did the same thing, not even knowing. We were hoping to get paired up, but it just didn't work that way. So, but at the end of the day, though, it's like I just figured I'm not going to waste time, whatever. The little buddy that I had that was hitchhiking on the boat with us in the live well, I just let him go before we went in. And I'm just like, you know what? Go back out, do your thing. Thanks for your commitment, but it's time to go. And I just saddled up, went home. And it's one of the things where it's getting, and we'll get into this. Now, that's the events. That's as good as it got for my side of things. We're kind of in a slump to where I got to step back, where I guess you could say I'm getting in my own head to a degree where the first tournament of the year, and let's back up a little bit, the first tournament of the year, and this is for anybody out there who's going to do this stuff, and it depends on where your mindset is, and my mind goes like on the straight and narrow for a little while, and then poof, left turn, or right turn, Clyde, whatever you want to call it. It goes off to where it gets full of all this crap, and I need to just simplify. And it screws me up. And a lot of stuff I do, it screws me up. It just happens. There's nothing, I can't fix it. I'm trying to fix it. But I just start getting all over the place with stuff where, oh man, why isn't this working? Let me dig into this, get information on that, and learn this and learn that, and baits here and baits there. What baits work for this? What baits work for that? There goes your mind. And it gets to that point. It starts adding up, and you just start going out of your gourd. So that's why I didn't weigh to fish. And people are like, "Well, you got the fish anyway." Man, my nose is really red from this weekend, ain't it? I'm not even drinking. Well, first beer, but that's it. I'm not a hammerer. I don't do that. Nice. Anyhow, sorry, it's just seeing things. So to kind of backstep a little bit, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to go up there and weigh in, and we'll get back to that, my first event, but I'm not going to go up to weigh in. I'm just going to let him go, and I'm going to pack it up, and I'm just going to go. Where my first tournament on the Potomac River, I ended up, my 5 bass limit came in 8th place. I didn't have a heavy bag, but it was enough to work my way up the chain. So then I'm like, okay, so then people start telling me about if you're with the AFT series and you do well and this and that, whatever, you get the chance to go to Lake Hartwell, which I'm hell-bent on. I would love to do it. Now I'm at the point where I don't care. I do not care. Even if I got the invite, I'm not sure if I would even go. It sounds bad, but it's not in a sense to where, all right, yeah, it's a different type of fishing down there. I mean, you'll probably get more active fish. You're going to get them on some running baits. I mean, you're going to have some moving baits. They're going to hammer on them. It's a good chance of that being late in it. Maybe not late in the season because I think it's October. A little different weather pattern down there for October, but it's October. As far as I know, it's October. So, and like things may change for that through the season, but as of right now, I don't care if I go or not. And going back to the first tournament where I got my 5 bass limit and got into that, I'm like, okay, then the next AFT that I entered, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do well, I got to do this, I got to do that. All right, this bait, that bait, so we're going to throw, we're going to catch them, we got to do this. I got to keep myself up in the ranks, keep myself up in the points. How do I go to Lake Hartwell? There goes the mind again. All right, and my mind is my own demise in a lot of this stuff to where either I'm trying too hard or something to where when I first went out there, my first tournament this year, there was no expectation. There was no worry about what was going on. I just went out there and fished. Didn't care. It's like, all right, you know what? If I don't get skunked, as long as I catch one and I can weigh one fish, cool. We'll build from there. But when you get the limit, and now you're sitting, up the upper half of what we had. I mean, out of the 20 boats that were in that class, I'm sitting in 8th, so I'm better than 50%, if you're looking at the whole thing, where you're ranking, I'm better than 50%. So I'm top 10 at the moment. I got to keep this up. I got to do better than top 10. Ooh, bam. Yeah. Motors went out in the plane, crashed, bomb, boom, boom, blew up, everything. It's been that way ever since. And I'm running 2 divisions with them, a PA division and a Maryland division. Now, only one's going to count. But I figured I'd better my chances of going back and forth, more experience, more learning on the water, understanding the back of the boat thing and trying to learn from it. And stacking that on top of each other, I don't think is the problem. The problem is in my head of where, I'm trying to make it to Lake Hartwell. I got to get there. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I'm just tanking it week to week. I'm donating $100+ every weekend to somebody else's pocket because my head's up my rear end every weekend because I'm so worried about what to do over there. What's down the road? I got to fish for this. I got to fish for that. Instead of fishing for the day. That's the biggest problem. Not paying attention to what I'm doing anymore, to where I realized, it took a few events, but I realized my first event, it was more casual in a sense, and there was nothing to go for other than that day, and then move on from there. Where, again, the expectation wasn't there for anything. I didn't need to do anything. I just did it to do it. And it was more calming, and I noticed a lot more focus on the boat. Even though I'm talking to my boater, we're joking a little bit, having a good time, and I'm still focused on what I'm doing. I'm focused on that retrieve, what I'm doing, if I'm pausing, if I'm giving a little tick, if I'm popping something, this, that. It was just, everything flowed. And of course, it's a good day, of course, when you get bites. But everything was flowing. So I'm like, all right, cool. And it was fishing the way I like it. I was on a moving bait, doing something. Lately, I guess the pressures have ramped up and everything else, and it has turned into nothing but finesse. You got to go out there and use it. They ain't chasing nothing hard. There's no power fishing right now that I've noticed, at least. Nothing's working for me on a power fishing. It's all, you're throwing Senkos, you're dragging a worm, a magic worm, or a robo worm, whatever it be, whatever your choice of bait is. Everything has gone to the finesse, the wacky stuff. Drop shot is finesse. Even though I don't really finesse a drop shot, but it's not in my nature, and I have to learn that. To where now I got to learn, okay, now I'm realizing, okay, we got to slow down. A lot of people have told me that, but it's hard to do. I don't have that. I don't know why, but that slow down's hard. So I'm like, all right, so I'll slow down. So this weekend I slowed down, and I really slowed down for my level of slowdown. Somebody else's level of slowdown could be different. Mine, I slowed down to the point where I was bored as hell on the boat. Like, I'm talking bored. And I just couldn't take, every so often I had to put something down, pick up my bait caster that's got a swim bait on it, whatever, and I know I'm not going to hook up. I know they're not chasing anything hard. We're not power fishing. They're not running, they're not taking a running bait. I just need to do it. I had to put it down and just go out there and burn some stuff and just be like, all right, have fun with it. Like, even though I know I'm not going to get anything on it, there's a chance, but, other than catfish, but, which I got on the spinner bait. But it's like, and that was more reaction. As soon as it dropped and hit the water, it just smashed it, just totally smashed it. But different topic there. But I slowed down. I slowed down massively, and it like I said, boring. Absolutely boring. It was killing me out there both days. I'm trying to just slow drag a worm, let it sit. And I guess I'm not leaving it sit long enough. So my level of slowdown isn't enough, apparently. Either that or I got the wrong cadence on the pops, something. But, and everybody's like, all right, slow down. And they keep telling me, slow down more. And I'm like, all right, if I slow down more in my head and my fishing, it's like I stopped fishing. All right, so I might as well put a bobber and a hook on this thing and just let it sit. And then when something decides to be like, oh, look, there's something there, and hits it, okay, reel it in when you see the bobber shaking around. That's basically what it comes down to. And I'm like, but this ain't tournament fishing. This isn't, bass fishing at the levels of what we're doing. This, to me, is not, I'm not fishing for an apex predator. I guess you could say apex predator, but a predator-style fish. Something that ambushes and attacks and hammers stuff and hits. And it's a sport fish, and it's that for a reason because of the action you get in the water. Just like it turned into snakeheads as a sport because, they just head shake like hell and back and just have power to swim. The bass have the same thing. Not as aggressive, but similar. That's why bass fishing is what it is. It's an action-filled sport. Well, so far this year, for some reason, whether it's Mother Nature's fault or if it's the fault of people, too many people out there pressured in the waters, and more so than ever because, as this COVID thing hit, everybody's like, oh, what do we do? We got nothing, so let's go fishing. So every Joe and the brothers out there fishing, and who knows how many of them went to boat side and tournaments or just out there clogging the waters up, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that's just how I talk. And just people out there fishing where your pressures are that much, and these fish are just hunkering down. They're just setting back. It's almost like a deer. If anybody out there hunts, deer in the woods, you pressure them enough and you turn them nocturnal. Well, the fish could be the same way. They're just turned off. I can't say, I don't have a tester. I can't say that the salinity in the water, because, we've had a little bit of a lack of rain, not bad, but a little bit, to where is the salinity coming up turning the bite on, or turning the bite off? Well, I can't believe that, because when we were up at the Amtrak bridge, basically at the mouth of the Susquehanna River, past the dam on the south side of the Conowingo Dam, you still have dam water flowing. You got all that water up Conowingo. Well, I'm sorry, but the salinity level is not going to affect the Susquehanna River above the dam. You're not going to get backup of salinity through the dam. Virtually impossible. Unless you got somebody over there with Morton salt by the truckload dumping it up there and just wrecking stuff. But unlikely. So, we're going off on a bender. But anyhow, so up that way, it's like, all right, you got that fresh water. You got smallmouth that are up there. Smallmouth are kind of picky about the water. So that's why we don't have a lot. I guess our crabby water. But it happens. But it's just, there's a lot of factors that could be playing in this, and like I said, salinity I don't think is one. Even going down where we were on the flats, it's not. They're biting, but it's like you just gotta just sit and wait. It is so, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I just had it. I guess you gotta have more patience than what I have. It's killing me. And you figure in the month of May. In the month of May, we should be able to get off of finesse fishing a little bit and be like, all right, we can get to more moving baits. We can cover some water. These fish are more active. Our water temperatures are 70 plus degrees already. These fish should be just going nuts. I wouldn't say nuts, but this is the 70 degree, that 70 degree temperature water is like prime. It ain't too hot to be lethargic. It ain't too cold to be lethargic. It's like, it's the hot time. It's a hot spot for them bass. And it's like, dead. It is killing me. But that's part of the learning curve, I guess. And that's what everybody's saying. And they're like, don't quit, don't give up. There's times I just want to kick the rods in the water. It is getting just so stressful right now. Frustratingly stressful. I don't know if that's even a word, but but it's getting to that point. It's just getting tough. And it's like, that's where I'm at, where it's like, all right, so I didn't weigh a fish purposely because, I need to clear my mind out. I'm not worried about the points and the weights anymore. It's going to be what it's going to be. And just kind of clean that slate to where it's not working right now. It's not making an effect in my mental game. It may later, and that's what I'm kind of hoping on, to where, okay, I didn't weigh any fish. I got skunked before. I'm not weighing any fish in this one. So I think this is the second tournament I did with the Maryland division. To where now my points are in the toilet. My points are in the toilet for the PA division even. So both parts of the AFT series, my points are kind of in the gutter right now. They're, I won't put this one up for kids. It's in the shedder. That's the way it is. And I didn't weigh it because I didn't care. It's like, yeah, I could have had a little bit better of points if I weighed the fish. But now there's my expectations again. I'm building myself up with these expectations of going to Hartwell and doing this and doing that, and it keeps building to where next time I go out, here we go again. So I'm trying to basically just put it where, okay, things are in the toilet, so who cares anymore? We're just going to go out there, we're just going to fish for the day, which I should have been doing all along, fish for the day and forget about it. And not even worry about it, just see what I catch for the day. If I catch something, I catch something. I gotta go home, all right, well, whatever. Hartwell's out of the question. No consideration, no care. Take that pressure, as stupid as it sounds, take that pressure, because I am competitive by nature, where throw it away. Just get rid of it. Keep your competitive edge, and that way about it. But throw out that other stuff. Don't add it to the pile. And even in baits, I mean, we want to talk about adding to the pile. My tackle box is a freaking disaster right now. I even organize it and it's still a disaster because every week it's like, oh man, I'm watching, instead of focusing on what I'm doing and not give a crap about anything else, like, oh, somebody else has this, all right, let me bring it along. Just in case I need it, I'll try it. So now, instead of just sticking with a handful of baits that I know work, or at least I have some form of confidence in at times, and it's kind of getting wrecked around, recently, but, instead of just sticking with those handful of baits and working them for what I know how to work them and for what they're worth, I'm spending a lot of time and blowing a lot of time in the back of the boat, sitting there. I'm retying this and I'm retying that and I'm doing this and I got to throw this on there. Oh, maybe this will work. Maybe that'll work. It's too much. It's like, again, my mind is just going and going and going and going, like, and it's taking everything and it's putting it in the toilet. You just got to keep that mind clear and more or less fish for the day. And I've said that a little earlier in the video, like just fish for the day. And what I mean by fishing for the day is, of course, and again, this is more geared to the co-angler, for any angler in general, but more for the co-angler because that's what I'm doing right now. Where fishing for the day means like, whatever, and I'm hanging on to stuff that worked in the past. And I mean, I'm not saying that a spinnerbait's bad or whatever, but my first outing on the Potomac River, they hammered that spinnerbait. It was just, they were active, they were in that area, they were moving, they saw that moving bait, boom, they were hitting it. It was a good day. It kept flowing. Well, times changed. So I always resort back to where it's like, well, the spinnerbait worked, so we'll throw that again. And I'm wasting my time with it in a sense because I know that we're not in a moving bait, we're not in a power fishing area where like there's no finesse. You can finesse a spinner a little bit, but not really. At least I can't. To where I know I got to finesse fish it, but yet I'm still going to throw that because it worked the last time. It worked the last time. I always think, oh man, it worked the last time. I got this the last time. I got that the last time. So I keep throwing the last time while I'm fishing the past. And we know this. Most of us know this, where the fish change by the day. What fish was here today ain't there tomorrow. Their bite's going to be different. Their color choice might be different. So what you hit on oh man, they're hitting white. And I just did that this weekend. Oh, I knew they were hitting white. Like I got nibbles the weekend before on the white. So it's like, all right, I'm close to that color. So let's try white again. Why? I mean, yes, try it, but it's the same, but I stuck with it for so long and wasted half the day on white baits, white worms, everything, because I knew, oh, white worked, past tense. You got to go out there and just start the new. More or less, I do start the day off with a spinnerbait, and I'll probably change a spinnerbait maybe 3 times, just try a little bit of color, see if there's something moving, if they want a moving bait on color. But then if that don't work, I switch right over to like a Senko or a worm. Could be a nose weighted worm, whatever. It depends on what we're fishing, wherever the boater's going. But we'll just use that for example. Like we're going to throw a Senko today. I'll have my green pumpkin. I'll have like a pink, something loud, something bold, a pink, a white, whatever. Maybe a black, of course, your black and blue. Something with maybe a red flake in it. And we're going to be like, all right, we're going to try sitting it, which, of course, slow down is not me. And see if any of these work and see what color. And I know this. I got it in my head when I start the day, but I never follow through. I just resort back to what I did last time. Instead of, this is new. Every time you go out on the water, it's new. You got to do these things every single time because the fish change. The fish are going to tell you what they want. You got to follow it. And if you don't follow it, you end up skunked like me. And again, I know it. I know what to do, and I'm just not doing it. My head gets in a, like, we'll go back to Talladega Nights. My head is in a pretzel. Basically, that's what it does. I just overthink it, and I got too many damn baits in my tackle box. And this weekend, we don't have anything. Holiday weekend, there's nothing going on. I might go out and just chuck around a little bit. I'm trying to get a ride on a boat this weekend. And I put it out there to see if anybody was leaving at an anchor or something like that, or preferably on the Upper Bay because that's where we fish. I'd like to get a little more feel and a little more understanding of the waters. more than just, topographic maps and things of that nature, like actual experience on the water, not in a tournament setting to where I am stuck on the clock. Like, I have this much time to do this. That's one thing that I got to stop thinking about too, the clock. Just fish, But we do this. And it's a learning curve. And like I said, this video could be boring to a lot of people, and I hope it's not. I really hope that this video is not boring. That's why I don't want to stretch it out too long and just ramble on about the same crap. But for anybody who wants to get into the tournament fishing, or even if you're not a tournament fisher and you're just going out there, say you're prepping for it, or you want to do it, or you got yourself a boat, in better shape than me, and you want to go out there and fish, and it's like, all right, let me try, like pointers to try. Just, keep some of this stuff in the back of your head to where it's like, it's like what I'm doing may not be what you're doing, or it may not work for you. Everybody does their own thing. And I've said it before, it's like archery. It's personal. It's the same thing with the fishing. Like, your techniques and how you do stuff is personal to you, your style and how you do stuff. Me, I have a problem slowing down. Maybe, you don't. Who knows? You might have a problem speeding up to where it's like, oh man, I got to crank this thing so hard. Like me, I'll burn the crap out of it. I'm nutty anyway. So, it's a good release for me. And sometimes I really wish, and I wouldn't say wish. That's a bad thing to say. That's a bad word to use in this. But a lot of times it's like, all right, I'm a co-angler. I know you can't do it in the tournaments. I understand it. But it's like, what I'd give for, like, just give me a 6-pack to where I could just mellow the hell out on the back of the boat and maybe something good will come out of it. Not get completely obliterated, don't be stupid, but, don't be stupid like that anyway. There's people out there who do, not in the fishing world so much. Sometimes if you're casually fishing, but there's people out there that go on boats and they just get hammered and it's stupid. I don't care if you're a rider or not. People don't think that there's bad things that can happen out there, but it does, and we know it does. So don't be dumb. But anyhow, give me a 6-pack to where I can just chill out. Just forget about some things. Maybe a 12-pack. I don't know what I'm going to need. But it's like I just need to figure out a way to just stop worrying about making it here and making it there now and fast, because that's what and I do this to myself in everything I do, where it's like, oh, things are going good, all right, well, it's going to be better, I need a bigger bag, I need this, I need that, and it just wrecks everything. It takes all the fun out of it to where, like, I'm borderline, like really borderline of like not doing this anymore until I get a boat to where I could go out there and learn some waters and work on the techniques on my own time and not be stuck in the back of the boat where I'm throwing $100 plus a weekend. And that's, I'm saying minimum $100, and I'm not even covering half the stuff. Just your entry, you're looking around $100 every single weekend, no matter the tournament. There's some other tournaments might be cheaper, but the ones I'm in, it's a minimum of $100. But you put gas money into it, you're over that. You put a hotel into that, it keeps on going. Keep adding up on the ticker, and I'm tired of donating to where it's like I can't learn what I need to learn on the back of the boat because, I shouldn't say I can't. I can, but I'm not willing. Mentally, I'm not willing to go back there and learn when I paid to enter a tournament that I'm trying to get something out of. Like, I want to win. And I'm not saying win-win, but I want to get up there in the ranks. If I'm in the money, cool. It'd be awesome. Don't get me wrong. But if I can get that consistency and stay in that top 10, that's the goal. Getting something back absolutely would be freaking awesome. Just to put it in the kitty, put it in the bank, the home bank for the next tournament, so it rolls into itself. Getting something to start, and I know this is still the beginning of the season, but to get something that can roll into itself that you're not taking out of your mouth and putting into every single time and sucking, where it can roll back into it, where, and I'm getting off on a tangent. I got to get back to what we're doing. But anyhow, just the consistency. And just forget about all this other crap. And the crap is building to where it's like, 5th place, I'm so close to the money. And then that pressure just gets you. And then you start thinking stupid. A lot of times you start thinking stupid. You think you got it and you don't. So, and that's where we're kind of at right now, to where I'm still looking for a floaty. I don't know where I'm going to find one yet. Working with banks and stuff to see about a loan, and I really don't want to get that deep, but and I'm not looking for anything crazy expensive, but definitely got to get a floaty and get out there and just learn the ropes and learn it on my time. No stress, just go out there and just fart around basically. Where I'm not going to go and pay $100 plus on a tournament to go on the back of the boat and play around. It's and again, it's a cost of learning. It's a cost of getting better. I get that, but I don't have that in me to where it's like I'm not paying $100 to go to a tournament, and this is my own problem, but I'm not paying $100+ to go to a tournament to go back there and screw around and see what works and what doesn't. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It may work out to where it's like, okay, you learned a whole bunch in one tournament and your next tournament paid for that. Maybe that would work out, but I'm not a gambler. I don't like that kind of chance. I need that security in the back of my head and that control, so to say, without being a control freak, but have a control of my situation to a degree. I can't control the fish, but I need to control my doings. And that's where I'm lacking a little bit, I think. So... and anyway, like I was saying, if somebody gets something out of this video, and I'm going to cut it off here. We can keep going on and beating a dead horse, but for right now, we'll call it good. And hopefully somebody gets something out of it. Like I said, it's kind of a boring video for some. I mean, we don't have the action. We're not playing around with baits and doing this and talking about this and what I used and what I didn't use and, what I threw and what I didn't throw. We're not really going to get into all that because nothing really worked except for the drop shot. That's the only thing that worked. I had a little Missile Baits Ned Bomb on there with a baby bass tail. That worked the last time, and it worked again. Sometimes it happens, but hopefully somebody gets something out of this to where, like, think about how I'm screwing up and don't. If I could save you from doing it, don't fish the past. Fish today. You can't fish the future. You can't fish the past. You got to... That's weird coming out of my mouth. You can't fish the future. You can't fish the past. For some reason, when I'm saying fish and past, I'm getting screwed up. But you got to fish the now. You have to fish today. What is going on today? What's going to work? And let today tell you what today wants. Just because yesterday told you that green pumpkin worked, don't mean green pumpkin works today. Which is that's kind of a bad thing to say because green pumpkin usually works, but you get the idea, and just simplify it. Just fish for the day. Fish for the day, and like I was going to say about my tackle box, simplify the tackle box. I got there's stuff all over the damn place, and it's locked up full. It probably weighs 100 pounds, and I'm going through it little by little. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I started on it last night a little bit, picking up stuff. Figuring out trailers, working on more smaller baits that somehow catch big fish. And it seems like that finesse, that smaller bait thing is kind of working. Why, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know if it's the pressures. I don't know if the water's got problems, if just nature in itself, like we're in May and we expect May-style fishing. We expect to hammer these things. And, the weights aren't there. I'm looking at guys who can outfish me blindfolded, and their weights aren't where they should be now. They're still getting, don't get me wrong, they're still hooking up, they're still getting decent bags. They're in the ranks, they're winning, or they're up in the top 10, et cetera, but their weights don't reflect on last year's weights, or the weights before that, for this time period. I kind of wonder if it's just a season, like we're in May, but we're still fishing April. Like March, I went out, and March was like fishing February. And then come April, or I got that right? Like March was like February. April was like March, and now we're in May, and it's fishing like it's April, kind of, like, sort of. So I don't know what the deal is. And I'm the next one. I don't even know what our next one is, to be honest with you. This weekend's a freebie weekend, so I really kind of just focusing on other stuff, trying to get my shit together. My mental game needs work. I gotta get it together on that, or else we're gonna be in trouble. Wow, lost track. like I said, my mental game needs to get together. So, but anyhow, we're about 45 minutes into it. We'll call it on that. And again, just fish for the day. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Just fish for the day. Don't focus on the big. Not starting out. You're going to wrap yourself into a corner. Depending on how you are. Like I said, if you have that competitive edge to you and you're just driven, it's not a bad thing. You just have to know how to manage that drive. And that's where I'm learning it, where I'm not managing my drive well enough to keep composure and not composure in a bad way, but my mental state of composure to focus on what I got to do. I'm too worried about focusing on a big bag, getting into money and making it a Lake Hartwell, instead of focusing on, let's catch one fish. Then let's catch 2 fish, at least scoreable. Okay, now we're going to work on 3 fish. Nope, as soon as I go out there, I need 5 fish. You can't get 5 fish if you don't get 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Then you can get 5. So we'll conclude on that. So again, hopefully you guys got something out of it. Don't make the mistakes I'm doing. Hopefully this will clear some stuff up for you if you're having some struggles and everything else. Just go out there, focus on one at a time, fish for the day, and just keep it simple. Best thing I can tell you, keep it simple. So we're going to do some rewind. We're going to get back to it. And when our next event, we're going to pop up and see where it goes, see where it takes us. Hopefully a little bit better. I got a whole weekend of reflections to take care of. So till next time, tight lines, folks. We'll see you.